I thought Columbia House went out of business sometime around the Clinton administration. Apparently, it did not. It's actually been sitting out there this whole time, quietly selling DVDs to whoever was still sending Columbia House money. And now, on September 15th, after 71 years, Columbia House is finally closing. And my first reaction was not, wow, what an important piece of musical history. It was, oh shit, I probably still owe them money. And I know I'm not alone. Because if you grew up in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, there's a very good chance that at some point you looked at one of these little cards in a magazine and thought, 12 CDs for a penny? Free music! Or close enough that nobody did the math. So you mailed that little card away and waited for your 12 CDs to arrive, which was the beginning of the end of your financial relationship with Columbia House. Because that penny was not the end of the transaction. It was more of an introduction. The whole thing was genius. You picked 12 albums from these tiny little rectangles in the middle of a magazine, and you weren't necessarily picking them because you knew you liked them. You might have heard a song, you might have recognized the band, or let's be honest, you might have just thought the album cover looked kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know anything about this band, but look at this cover. I think I'd like that. That was our version of research. No tracking, no confirmation email, just eventually, box. 12 CDs for 1 penny. Well, 12 CDs for 1 penny and a contractual obligation that you probably didn't fully understand. Some of us were apparently considered financially responsible enough to enter into a recurring purchasing agreement, but not responsible enough to have a driver's license. Because then Columbia House started sending you things. And if you didn't send the little no thanks card back in time, they would send you another album, which you now owned and owed them money for. At some point, you realized you were no longer getting cheap CDs. We were business partners with extremely different interpretations of the contract. And let's be very honest about something. A lot of us were not exactly model customers. I know I wasn't. I may have experimented with the Columbia House system. And by experimented, I mean I may have signed up more than once under different addresses, maybe different versions of my name. Allegedly. I'm just saying that the 80s and 90s had a much more relaxed approach to identity verification. And apparently we took advantage of that. I suspect a lot of you did too. So if you're watching this and thinking, I still owe Columbia House money, first of all, congratulations. Second, how much? Because I have a feeling this is going to be one of those comment sections where we're all finally admitting things we were thinking we were going to take to the grave. Honestly, Columbia House probably spent more money trying to collect from Gen X than it ever made from anybody else. And yet, we never stopped. And now, neither can they. Columbia House is closing, for real this time, September 15th after 71 years. For all the jokes about Columbia House being a scam, it's been a company that survived records, 8-tracks, cassettes, CDs, DVDs, the internet, iTunes, streaming. It's finally tapping out. We have access to more music now than we could have possibly imagined back then. Every song is right there, instantly. And that's amazing. But there was something about opening that box and not knowing what you were going to get. 12 little gambles. The shrink wrap, the cardboard, the little CD inserts. Opening the case and putting the disc in the stereo. Sometimes you got an album you forgot about in 5 minutes. And sometimes you got one that stayed with you for the next 30 years. And maybe that's why I'm a little sad to see Columbia House go. For a lot of us, that box was how we found the music. This may be one of the reasons I still love discovering music the way I do. And so apparently I miss Columbia House, which is something I never thought I would say. Although, if anyone is from Columbia House and they're watching this, I have moved again, and I still don't know what you're talking about. So tell me, what were the albums you got from Columbia House that actually changed your musical life? Or were you a BMG customer instead? Let me know in the comments.
And if Columbia House was one way we discovered music, MTV was definitely another. Assuming you could find somebody whose parents actually had cable. I've got that story right here.